Hello everyone, welcome back to final part of how to paint Arkhan the Black. In this video I will focus on the rest of the details which are left. Here are the list of colors that I'm using for part 4. I am going to continue from where part 3 ended. So the first thing is the thorn capes and the straps. For that I choose a base color which is Incubi darkness and start base painting all these areas. When you're about to start painting the straps, be extra careful, try not to put too much force, because it can break quite easily. The same goes with the head straps. The next color I'm using is a shade, which is Nuln oil, and I apply it in all the previously painted areas with Incubi darkness. Once the wash is completely dry, then I use Kabalite green and I start dry brushing the cape. It is quite a neat technique to give a harder dry brush on the raised surfaces, so it gives a nice definition into the cape as well. Now that I'm happy with the result, I am going to use now a small layer brush, and with the same color I start layering and also edge highlighting all the holes and also the straps. And finishing it with Fenrisian grey as a fine highlight with a small layer brush again. The most sharpest features of of the cape of each holes, just to give it a nice highlight to it, and a highlight on each of the straps. Now I can move on to the next part, which are the gold and silver details. And for this I start with Balrhasar gold and start applying it on the shoulder, mainly on the skulls, the chest emblem, on the knees and the arm, wrists, all the skulls, the staff, and also on the helmet, the tiny skulls. I realized that on the helmet there are some parts which I will find difficult to paint under it, so I decided to go for the next color, which is Leadbelcher, and start base painting all the under armors on the helmet. And also at this stage I base paint all the metallic parts in the body too. I found some places also on the staff, so I also base paint those as well with Leadbelcher. Now should be now by on the helmet. The silver parts are dried, so I go back with Balrhasar gold and finish the helmet with the parts that I still need to base paint with gold. Now that everything is base painted, I'm going to use Agrax Earthshade wash and start applying it in all the Balrhasar gold and Leadbelcher parts. Once the wash is completely dry, I'm going to use now Retributor Armour, and I start highlighting all the gold details on the helmet and also on the body. Let's not forget also the staff too. It is best not to rush it and just take your time. I am trying to be also very careful which areas I already painted, not to get onto them. If I do make some mistakes, then I just recover it them like in the previous steps. And I finish it with Stormhost Silver. I highlight all the Leadbelcher areas and also base paint all the pegs on the armor. Again, I am taking my time. The details are small and I don't want to make any mistakes. going to move on to the gems and also the arcane energy which is coming out of the staff. So the first color I'm using is Abaddon Black. The reason being is that, especially on the helmet and on the body, these small gems are being painted by mistake, so I'm just covering them with black. Now I'm going to use Celestra Grey on the energy flare, which is coming out of the staff, and start base painting that. Now I'm going to use Nuln Earthshade wash and start applying it on the flare. If you want, you can also apply it on the gems as well, just to get that nice sealed effect. Once the first wash is dry, then I'm going to be putting a second layer more close towards the gem, and around halfway I am just putting the wash. While the wash is drying, I am applying Dawnstone, small layers on each shoulder pads gem and also the chest and the one that is on the helmet. The gem that is on the staff, I have another color scheme to it. And finishing it with just a dot in the center of each small gem with Administratum Grey. I apply on the small gems Ardcoat. Now that the small gems are complete, I can focus on the staff gems. So the first color I'm going to use is Naggaroth Knight and start base painting the center gem. And also there are some tiny gems on the halo, which I'm going to be base paint as well. Now I'm going to use Thunderhawk Blue. I start highlighting the center gem, and I imagine that the light is coming from above, therefore I also edge highlight the top outer rim of the gem. Let's also not forget the small gems, just a dot on each on the center. And finishing the staff gems with Fenrisian Grey as a fine highlight. that the gems are complete, I can go back to the flare, and I'm using Druchii Violet Wash. I start applying it, that is coming from the gem, around halfway. And while it's still wet, I'm using now Coelia Greenshade, and I'm applying it from the bottom, and where it meets I try to blend the two color so it gets a nice transition from purple to green. Once the washes are completely dry, I am using Dawnstone. I use a small dry brush and just gently applying it on the flare. And finishing it with a lighter dry brushing of Administratum Grey, mainly from the top. Now I can move on to the Fleshshade, and for this I'm going to use Ionrach skin as a base color and start applying it on the sheath area. As you can see, I painted also the sword and the handle part with using the same colors as I used before. So the bone and then the metallic parts is with the same recipe. Then following it with Reikland Fleshshade Wash. I am applying a second layer once the first one is completely dry, but mainly from the bottom. Now I'm going to use Pallid Witch Flesh as an edge highlight on the Sheathe. Also those very tiny details that are in the center. Just a dot of highlight I'm adding. I'm going to use Rhinox hide on the stitches. And finishing it with a very small amount of Carroburg Crimson around the stitches and also in the center part, so that to give a bit more fleshier effect to it. And the miniature is fully painted. Now I just need to do some finishing touches. I can finally glue the head on its place, which I have been waiting for so long. I am using enough amount of super glue, being careful not to use too much, because once the super glue dried, it becomes white and can be visible on the miniature. Before I'm ready to secure the model on its position, I try a dry fit, so when I will glue the model on it, I will be aware of the right positioning of each component. As you can see, I just realized that the left strap had been broken off and it is shorter. So I made a very small thin roll out of green stuff. I flattened it and gave it time to dry. Once it was dry, I used a sharp knife and cut it in the exact shape and size which I needed to expand the strap. And with super glue, I glued the parts together and painted it in the exact same way as the straps were. Now, with enough experience thanks to the dry fitting and the missing strap piece being repaired, I can finalize the position of Arkhan with using superglue. Again, only using just enough to make sure it is going to be secured, and I use a very old brush and just dipping on each side of the Dread Abyssal Razorrak's head where the straps will be secured. I am taking my time and being careful with the fragile parts not to break. And here you have it. The whole miniature is complete. Thank you for sticking with me till the end of this project. I hope you find these videos useful and helpful. For more how to paint videos, visit and subscribe to my channel, leave a like and hit the bell button to be notified on future videos. It really helps out the channel a lot. See you all in the next video. Thanks for watching. Cheers.